So leaders, let's continue with the topic, giving feedback effectively. Let us discuss how you can give feedback that challenges employees without discouraging them, that holds them accountable without punishing or humiliating them, and that helps them grow rather than withdraw. So let's begin. 1. Address behavior, not personality. Marshall Goldsmith and Brené Brown emphasize clarity over criticism. Take these statements. You are careless versus the report had 3 missing data points. There is a significant difference between the two. The first judges the person. The second addresses the behavior. Leaders, the moment you label a person as careless, irresponsible, difficult, defensive, the conversation changes. The employee stops thinking about the issue and starts protecting his identity. The conversation is no longer what happened, but moves to the employee saying, "That's not fair, that's not who I am." The employee may not like hearing that the report had 3 missing data points, but it becomes difficult for him to argue with evidence rather than labels. So leaders, when you are giving feedback, discuss actions, decisions and impact, not character. So remember this, behavior-based feedback drives growth. Personality-based feedback triggers shame, resistance and defensiveness. 2. Balance empathy with accountability. Kim Scott says, care personally and challenge directly. Leaders, stop thinking that you need to choose between being kind and being honest. You don't. Some leaders become so focused on results that they become harsh, critical and insensitive. Some become so focused on preserving the relationship that they avoid difficult conversation altogether. Neither approach helps the employee grow. The challenge lies in learning to do both at the same time. So instead of saying, "This is unacceptable," say, "I know you've been working hard on this project, but at the same time, the missed deadline affected the team's ability to deliver to the client." Notice what happens here. The effort is being acknowledged. At the same time, the issue too is not ignored. This is the balance that you need to strike. Your role as a leader is not to avoid discomfort. Your role as a leader is to help people grow through it. Avoiding difficult conversations or feedback just because you want to be liked is not kindness. It is both leadership ineffectiveness and leadership avoidance. 3. Understand before you evaluate. Leaders, stop confusing observation with understanding. Just because you see poor performance, it does not mean that you understand the cause of it. Before giving feedback, pause and ask yourself this question: do I understand the full story? Because what looks like poor performance can actually be the result of competing priorities, unclear expectations, insufficient support, and inadequate resources. Just because you see an outcome that you may not like, it does not mean that you rush to judge the employee. On the other hand, what is required of you is that you ask clarifying questions and listen to understand so that you don't miss out on valuable insights. The quality of your feedback depends on the quality of your understanding. 4. Check mindset before giving feedback. Leaders, before you start a feedback conversation, ask yourself this simple question: what mindset am I bringing into this conversation? Am I here to help this person succeed, to strengthen relationship, to build accountability, to produce results? Or am I here to vent my frustration, to prove a point, to assign blame, or to focus on mistake? The employee may not remember the words you say, but they can quickly sense the mindset behind the message. Leaders, if you are going to enter a feedback conversation with irritation, judgment, and the need to be right, then don't be surprised if your employee is going to become defensive. But on the other hand, if you enter a feedback conversation with curiosity, respect, and a genuine desire to help your employees succeed, then you create trust, openness, and a greater willingness to improve. Remember this, before employees process your words, they experience your attitude. Feedback is not just about what you say, it is the mindset that you say it from. Finally, end with ownership and accountability. Leaders, once the issue has been discussed, don't remain stuck in what went wrong. Move the conversation towards what needs to happen next. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make is ending the feedback conversation with criticism rather than commitment. So instead of saying, don't let this happen again, say, what will you do differently next time? Notice the difference. In the first, you own the solution. In the second, the employee does. And that's where accountability begins. Before you end the conversation, make sure there is clarity on what needs to be changed, ownership of the solution, and commitment to action. Your employee should leave the conversation knowing exactly what needs to happen next and feeling responsible to make it happen. Feedback is not successful when the employee only understands the problem. Feedback is successful when the employee takes ownership of the solution. So leaders, these are some of the ways by which you can make giving feedback more constructive and more impactful. Remember this, the purpose of feedback is not to point out what went wrong, but to help people learn, grow, and perform better. The next topic in the Leadership Challenge series is how you as leaders can receive feedback effectively, especially feedback that comes in 360 assessment, employee surveys, and of course, the one-on-one conversations with employees and others. To start your journey to be the best leader, contact me at mastermindtrainingacademy.org. Thank you.